All right. I think we're live. All right. We're live. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Drink with Rick. This is the Saturday night wine stream, as I call it, our Saturday night live stream, but I call it the wine stream. This is the live stream where I open up and review a bottle of wine that I have procured, that I've purchased, and try it out for myself and see if it's any good and see if it's worth recommending to anyone else. And this week we are going to try, and I know I've said this many times, that we're going to try this. This is a Brickmason. It is a 2016 red blend, and this is from Lodi in California. Lodi's about east of San Francisco. And I've been to San Francisco, by the way. I've never been to Lodi, but I have been to San Francisco many, many years ago. But this is an interesting red blend. This came highly recommended from the proprietor of Sunset and Vine in Blowing Rock, North Carolina. That would be Sharon. She highly recommended this, so I made a purchase, and we're going to try it out. I have not tasted this wine. There was no wine tasting or anything beforehand for this, so I'm trying this out for the first time. Now, I must say that I am a little bit anxious about this. I'm pretty excited about doing the wine stream in general. I love doing the wine streams, but I'm a little anxious about this one because when I purchased this wine, and I think I've told the story a couple of times already, I purchased this along with another bottle of wine that also came highly recommended from Sharon over there, and that was the Grana Paso. Where is it? Right there, the Grana Paso. And we opened that up on a previous wine stream, and it was not to my liking. Excuse me. It was not to my liking, so I was rather disappointed with it, and because of that, I was hesitant to open this bottle. And of course, every week, as you know, I generally shop at Wine Store over here in Blakeney, North Carolina, and I usually come back with a couple of bottles that I've tasted there in the store and I've tried and I really liked, and I want to open up and taste it to see what it tastes like going through the bottle. But because I hadn't tried that one beforehand, I did try this one, and that one turned out to be not up to par for me. I was a little hesitant to open this up, and so every time I'd go shopping, I'd find another bottle that I would say, hey, you know what, let's try this one this week, and I'll put this one on the shelf. I had it on the shelf over here, and we'll save it for another time. Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I did go to Wine Store this past week, this past Thursday, and I found a couple of wines that I really, really wanted to try. I have another one that I really would like to try, but I promised last week that we would try to go ahead and go for this one because I really want to, we have to get this done. We really do. So tonight, without further ado, I am going to go ahead and try this. And before we do, let me see who we have joining us in the chat on Facebook. Steve is with us in the chat. Hi, Steve. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. I hope you stick around. This is going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. I've got a few things that I'm going to cover tonight. Usually this is a stream of consciousness kind of thing, and it is still a stream of consciousness a program here, but I do have a list of a few things that I actually wrote down this time of things that I wanted to make note of and make sure I didn't forget, because I get in this wine stream every night and I get excited about doing it and I get caught up in the moment, and I'm thinking about throughout the week all the things I want to talk about, and then when I actually open the wine and I'm drinking and we're talking about other things, I forget about all that stuff. And then after I'm done with the stream, I forgot to mention this, I forgot to mention that, I forgot, there's something else I wanted to say. Well, this time I finally wrote it down and hopefully I'll remember to look at those notes. So we're going to give that a try tonight. But this is still an unstructured program. It really is. So I hope you'll all stick around to watch this. We have Twitter online here, and for the first time, we are streaming through Periscope to Twitter as well. So if you're on Twitter and you're joining in, you can join us. You can watch this as well, and feel free to tweet out your comments, anything you want to say on Twitter. I have that up, and also on YouTube. We do have YouTube up, and it is now. What I did forget to do is I forgot to post my forgot to post it to my own website. So I don't want to stop and do that right now. But I think for right now we've got let's see, we've got Twitter going, we've got YouTube going, we have Facebook going. So we have this going in a few places, and we're going to get as many people here together to watch this stream live and drink with me, drink with Rick. Okay, so before we open this bottle, there are a couple of things I want to mention, and I do have them on my list, but they're a little bit farther down the list, so maybe I should just open the bottle first. What do you say? All right, let me tell you a little bit about this wine, and I've got some images of this wine up here. This is what it looks like. This is the front of the bottle. It's a 2016 Brickmason. This is from Clinker Brick Winery, and this is a 2016. It's from Lodi, California, and I also have a shot in the back from the back of this bottle here. If I can pull that up, let me see if I can do that. If I can find it. So let's see. Here we go. That's not it. I have a lot of wine photos on here and having to go through all of them. This is there's the back of it. Okay, we got that up. Anyway, this Brickmason is this is a very interesting blend, and as I've said many times in the stream, there are some blends that I do like. A lot of blends that don't blend too well. Some of the ones that we've tried in the past here on the show, I have liked. A couple that I was kind of, not crazy about, but it's okay. This one should be very interesting. It comes highly rated, not just from Sharon, the proprietor at Sunset and Vine, but also from other people who have tried this and reviewed it online. This wine is 80% Zinfandel, 10% Syrah, 5% Petit Syrah, and 5% Cab. So supposedly this is a nice little blend. We're going to try that and see just how nice it is, or if it really is up to par. Of course, the Grana Paso, well, I'm not going to mention that anymore. But this one is rated at 14.8% alcohol by volume. And it is from it's clinkerbrick.com is the website of the winery. And we're going to pull this. It comes with this interesting little netting here, and I think we can do away with that before we open this bottle. It's actually not a bad label, and it's interesting. This goes for, by the way, this wine goes for between $15 and $18 a bottle. I've priced it out online. It averages around $14.99 to $17.99, around the 15 to 18 mark when you round it out. I paid $17.99 for this one. I don't know if you can see the price tag on it, but the price tag is still on it. I paid $17.99 for it, and I can attest to that because I had to go looking for, and I found the original receipt from this. I purchased it on May 3rd of this year when we went up to visit Blowing Rock. We actually went up there to tour Appalachian State University, which was beautiful, by the way. Really enjoyed it. I paid, in fact, I think I had mentioned that for the Grana Paso, and I said I wasn't going to talk about that anymore, but I'm going to mention one more time. That was, I paid $16 a bottle. I thought I paid around 15 or so, or 18 for that, but this was actually the $18 wine, and the other one was $16. So still $16 I'll probably never see again. So that's why I'm keeping the bottle. I said originally I wasn't going to keep that bottle on the shelf, but I decided to keep the bottle because at least I have something to show for drinking that wine. It's not that it was super bad. It's just maybe the bottle I had was not, maybe there's something up with that, but it was not my favorite wine. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and open up this bottle, and then we'll talk about it a little bit and hopefully it won't be anything negative if it turns out to be a good wine. Once again, I've never tried this before, never have. So this is going to be a real first tasting. And of course, I have to open this bottle up with. I have my trusty bottle opener, my cork screw, and this was purchased for $5 from an estate sale by my wife. I'm going to give you a little closer look at this so you can actually see this thing in action. It's very interesting. Now, we did have dinner with some friends a couple of weeks ago, and I actually broke the neck of the bottle opening it with this, but I think that was already damaged before we got it. The bottle, I mean, not this. So pull it open like this. It's a little bit awkward from where I'm sitting here, but there you go. And then to get the cork out, we open it up like that. There we go. And that's how that works. Anyway, also, I'm going to get this wine to breathe a little bit using this that I purchased, this Veneto kit that I purchased, and this is an aerator that I purchased. We tried it last week on the stream, and it actually worked pretty well. I was impressed. I was surprised at how much better the wine tasted. Before I put it in there. All right, let's see how it works. So we're gonna put this in here, and we're going to aerate it. I'm going to give it a moment or two. I'm going to give this wine a chance to breathe a little bit this time, so we can try it now. Once again, I'm a little bit hesitant on this one because I did, never tried it before, but we're going to try it now. And of course, I'm pouring it into my Crystal Cooper's Hawk Winery glass. I'm going to try a little bit. We're going to give it a good swirl. We're going to give it a good swirl. And we're going to see if it what it has for tears, if it has any. Okay. Let's get a look at this. It's kind of rather dark complexion. It's not murky at all. It's just kind of a dark complexion. And let's see if we can get this a close-up back on this. It looks fairly clear. And smell a little interesting. It looks full-bodied, and from the tears, I'll tell you what, it's not. Oh, there you go. It takes a minute or two. May have quite a bit of alcohol in this one. First whiff, I can say It smells. There are some dark cherry tones. A little blackberry. Mm. Kind of cedary. A little bit of cedar, I think. It's pretty. It's quite astringent. A lot of tannins in this wine. It's rather tannic. Quite a few tannins in this wine. It's I guess so. They would say it's somewhat astringent. I think that's something that's reserved for a lot of white wines, but yeah, it has. It's rather astringent. Handles a lot of tannins. A little tart. It's very. I want to say it's kind of a tight finish to it. It's kind of like very dry. It's a very dry wine. It's not bad. This is a wine that probably is probably a wine that needs I think some cheese to go with it. And fortunately, first I'm going to pour some more because you really need to get down into the bottle to get a fair assessment of this wine, right? Wouldn't you say so? It's not bad. It's not bad. I would say that it's not. I would like to say it's almost too tannic, but it's Titanic now. Too tannic, not really. There are a lot of tannins, but it's not bad. Not bad. I can taste a mix of different berries in it, mostly kind of like blackberry cherry kind of tones to it, but in fact, the cedar smell has kind of gone away a little bit as I've gone down into it, and maybe that's because of my palate, because I'm just getting used to this taste. So now, according to some of the websites I read, it's supposed to have some tones of tobacco and clove in it, has some of those smells, but I'm not catching that. And I love clove. I'm not big on tobacco. I know what tobacco smells like, but clove, that's a flavor I love. And a lot of people don't like clove. It's a spice, but I but I love clove. It's really in decent amounts. In fact, they used to what is it, beech nut? I think, or they used to make a gum. They made it for many years. It's called clove, and they actually sold it up in Blowing Rock in the candy store there, and I took the opportunity to purchase some, and I rather enjoyed it. The taste for the gum is a little weak in my opinion. I prefer a stronger taste, but I liked it. But I'm not really smelling that here too much. I'm not really tasting it too much either. Maybe just well, you know what? Maybe a hint. Okay. Okay, I'm getting a little hint of the clove in the taste, but I'm not really smelling it too much. I I would say that it is, once again, it is rather tannic. And if you don't like a lot of tannins in the wine, then this might not be the wine for you. This might be a little too too much for you. But if you like wines that have a lot of tannins, then this is probably a good wine for you. You know, something about tannins is that the tannins have some very they have a high antioxidant. That they have very high antioxidant properties, and they are, from what I've read, that they are also very anti-carcinogenic. They have anti-carcinogenic properties. Now, I'm not sure how they've arrived at that, but that supposedly that's what tannins do for you. And wine is, in moderate amounts, wine is very good for you. Let's see who else we have in the chat. As I mentioned before, Steve's in the chat, and it's good to see you, Steve. Chi, my beautiful wife Chi, is in the chat. Mike has joined us. He's watching it, and it's good to see you too, Mike. I hope you're doing well, and I'm glad you've joined us. Stick around. We have a lot going on here tonight. I did make a list, as I mentioned earlier, of things that we're going to cover and talk about. It should be very entertaining at the very least. And no, if you're looking to see me get drunk, you know, that's not really what we do here at Drinking with Rick. Although, on occasion, I have been known to finish a bottle on the wine stream. I don't think I'm going to finish this one tonight. This is an okay wine. I can recommend it if you like something with a lot of tannins and a lot of dark berries. But if that's not your taste, then this might not necessarily be the wine for you. But if you like also very, very dry reds, this might be something you'll want to try. I have also, to clear my palate out a little bit, I have some crackers and a little bit of beef sausage. I think this is what is this, Trapper Joe's or Old Trapper, I think is what it's called, beef sausage, and some cheese, some cheddar cheese. I tried to keep it kind of simple tonight because I did not really know what to expect with this wine, and I didn't know exactly if this wine would really go well with any food because, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the wine stream, I wasn't sure if I was even going to finish the first taste after the first taste, finish the glass because I just didn't know what to expect. But I think it is a pretty good wine. This might be a good wine to have a little bit of cheese or something like that. We'll try some a little bit. Let me clear the palate with a cracker. And one thing about the crackers, really, if you're going to do that, it's really a good idea to get crackers that are not salty per se. They put salt in everything these days, but it's really best to get crackers. And these crackers, these are Ritz, and there is salt on those. So really, it's probably not the best choice of a cracker to try to clear your palate with for this. But especially if you're doing a wine tasting tasting several different wines, but it's all I had at the moment, so we'll just go with that. Anyway, what's the next on the list? Oh yeah, with the Brickmason wines, and I did look it up a little bit, and as I mentioned before, this wine goes for between $15 and $18 a bottle. I would say that it's probably priced about right, I think, because there are some people who will really like this wine. It's not bad. It's okay. I can't say that I would drive all the way up to Blowing Rock just to buy a bottle of this wine, and I don't think you have to. I've looked around. I think wine.com has it. A couple other places have it. I think, who else has it here? Let's see. I think there are a few wine places that sell it, and it's a 2016, so it's not too uncommon to find. So if you really want to try it, this is called Brickmason 2016 Red Blend. 80% Zinfandel, 10% Syrah, 5% Petite Syrah, and a 5% Cab combination. Now the thing about a Cab wines, Cabernets, Cabernet Sauvignons, they, from what I understand, is that when you purchase a Cab in the store, your average Cabernet is not necessarily 100% Cabernet. It can be a red blend as well. The Cabernet can be a red blend. It can be up to, and I think some people have told me, and like I said, it's a hearsay, but I have been told that cabs off the shelf that are labeled cab can be, I think, up to 80%, or excuse me, down to about 80% cab. If you have at least 80% cab in there, and it can be 20% of other wines, and they can still label it as a Cabernet. Interesting, because I used to think that, well, it had to be 100% Cabernet, but that's not the case. Apparently you can have up to 20% blend of other grapes in there, and still label it as just a Cabernet. So, like I said, don't take my word for it, but that's what I've heard. And once again, I am not a sommelier. I am not a paid or a trained wine aficionado, and I'm certainly not, in any sense of the word, a wine snob. Although I do know a few. Quite a few. But what I do is I like wine, and I like good wine, and I know the difference between what's good and what's bad and what's in between. So if I like it, I'll drink it. If I don't, I won't, and I won't recommend it. So that's the way this works on the Saturday Night Wine Stream. Let's see. Oh, by the way, I was going to mention my video promo. I don't know if you've seen the video promo. I just put that together last week, and I've been putting it out on Facebook and places like that, trying to get the word out on Drink with Rick on the Saturday night. I haven't had that much yet on the Saturday Night Wine Stream. Sometimes I would just wicks my merch up, and it just happens. But I don't know if you've seen it yet, but if you haven't, check it out and let me know what you think. If you have, I'm going to put out a poll and find out what you think of it. If you think it's any good, if you think it's stupid or whatever. I kind of put it together on the fly, just using clips from one of my existing previous wine streams. It's just 30 seconds long. That's 30 seconds of your life you'll throw away watching that. But just give it a look and let me know what you think. And that's all I'm going to say about the video promo. It's out there. Okay, now as far as this wine is concerned, once again, I picked this up at Sunset and Vine, and this is in Blowing Rock. And I kind of want to give a shout out to Sharon because, I think with this wine, I think Sharon redeemed herself. She recommended this one, and then that Grana Pasta that I tried a few weeks back, and I was not impressed with that one at the time, and I really wasn't bashing the Sunset and Vine or anything like that. I was disappointed in that particular wine, but I think by recommending this one, I think she definitely redeemed herself. This is actually a pretty decent wine. I like some wines with tannins in it. I like a lot of different kinds of wine, as long as they're red. Whites I'm not too crazy about, although there are one or two whites that I have tried that I do kind of like, but I do prefer reds. But as far as the reds go, I have a fairly broad range of reds that I do like. This one, I like it okay. Once again, this is going to depend on your palate, your personal palate, whether or not you like a lot of tannins, a lot of berries, dark berries. If you like a little bit of a cedar, it does have a little bit of a cedar tinge to it. It's a very dry wine. If you like dry wines, it has a very I should say it it doesn't have a lot of an aftertaste for me. It really doesn't. And now it might for you, I don't know, but to me it does not. But to me, it does not really have much of an aftertaste. I think that this is a decent wine for probably not for crackers. I don't know, not for these crackers. Let me try with a little cheese and see what we got. This is regular cheddar, so. It could be cheesy wine. It could be. With the right cheese, I should say. It could be a cheesy wine. What else it could go with? I'll have to think about that a little bit. But getting back to Sunset and Vine, this is a wine store that's located in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, up in the high country. Never been to Blowing Rock. Beautiful area. It's a nice little town. It's a very quaint little town. They've got some nice little shops there. We love going there. We try to go there about once a year or so and just hang around the town. We'll go up there for a weekend. And this is one of several wine shops. They have quite a community of wine fans up there. I'm going to say fans because I know that doesn't really fit wine, but I don't want to call them wine snobs. These are people that get together and they taste wine all day. So, and some people call them wine snobs or wine fans of wine. That's what I would just like to call them. People who like to drink wine. That's what we'll say. Just people who like to drink wine. And there's a fair community of it, and they will do a number of wine tastings, and they will have several wine festival kind of things and that sort of thing throughout the year. And it's quite an interesting area anyway, but they really do a lot with wine. Of course, there is a winery up in that area. I'm not sure where it is because I've never visited it per se. I have been to some other wineries up in the general region, maybe farther up, Asheville, that kind of thing. Everybody knows, Asheville wines and things like that, Biltmore wines, things. But in the Boone and Blowing Rock area, that they do some beers. They have breweries there. So if you're into beer and you like beer, they have a number of the Blowing Rock Brewery, I believe, up there. That's very interesting. I've never visited that, but I have had their beers. And I like them. I really enjoy them. And yes, I do like a good beer occasionally too. I do have my favorites. I do have some I don't care for, but I do have some beers that I do like, I do enjoy. And I will have them from time to time as well. But wine is really, I think my heart's really into more of the wine. And I think that goes back to my Italian heritage, my Savoia Italian heritage. And it runs in the family. My dad was really into wine, used to make it. My brothers, my sisters, especially my sisters, they love wine. Especially my sister Gina. I haven't seen her in the chat tonight. Usually she's in here, but and I know that she's been busy with her new digs. She just moved into. She just purchased a new condo, and she's getting that ready. So she's been very busy with that. My sister Penny, who lives with her husband and son in Texas, and she also enjoys a good wine, as does her husband Tom. They both like they have different tastes in wine a little bit, but I think that that's good. That's good. Diversity is good on that in that front. Now, I was going to say that when I was looking at the receipt, I pulled up the receipt. I had to go find it, but the receipt for this wine, this was $18. That's what I paid for it. So I paid on the high end for this bottle of wine. And I still have the original receipt here. Now, one thing about receipts, and I was going to mention this, I was looking for this receipt, and in the process, I ran across a bunch of other receipts for things that I purchased, some of them wine, some of them not, that really, I got a little bit of a rant on this because You ever get these receipts? Everybody gets these receipts and they've got surveys on them. Like I've got one here that I got the other day for, this one was for, where was it? It was a Walmart. This was a Walmart receipt. And, sometimes they're really pushing on you. You go through the checkout line and the cashier will say, hey, here's your receipt, and sometimes they'll even circle it. Here, you can log in here in our website, and you can take a survey in exchange for the opportunity to win, whatever, $5, $10, $100, sometimes $1,000. I've seen as much as $5,000 on these things for these. Take a survey and win $5,000. And the funny thing is, I've always ignored those things because I would think, well, come on, this is one of those national or international kind of survey things where you can take a survey and you maybe one of about 1 million people. What are your chances? Maybe almost as good as the lottery of winning $1,000 or $5,000. This one from Walmart says, tell us about your visit today, and you could win one of 5 $1,000 Walmart gift cards or one of 750 $100 Walmart gift cards. So there you go. I got another one. I've got one here from Fresh Market that says, complete a survey for a chance to win a $500 the Fresh Market gift card. And they give you about a few days to a week, sometimes 10 days or something, maybe usually a week or 7 days or whatever to take the survey. But in any case, the bottom line here is they want you to take these surveys and they're dangling a little carrot in front of you saying, hey, take this survey and you could have a chance to win. And now they don't tell you what the chance is. The chances of winning these things are probably pretty nil. So, I always threw those things away because I thought, well, come on, for the time that I spent going online and filling out these surveys, the chances of my actually winning something are probably zero or next to zero. For the time that I would spend, if I get, I get, 2 or 3 receipts a day from things I purchase. If I go out there every day and put these things in, well, they say your chances may go up. The more you can't play if you can't win if you don't play. And the more you win, the chances are greater the more you play, the chances are greater you'll win. That sort of thing. But I always thought, well, it's kind of a waste of time. All right, so then I read this article. A little while back, I read this article that said, you know what? Most of the people that get these things, they look at it and they say, and they think exactly the same thing, that my chances of winning are basically zero, so what's the point of even trying to win? And they were saying, well, that's completely wrong. Because of that, your chances go up because so few people, and they were saying that a lot of these companies were actually complaining, if you can believe that, they were actually complaining that very, very few people were taking these surveys because they didn't believe it or they didn't think their chances of winning were very good. And what the article was saying is because there are so few people that supposedly actually do this, that the ones who do actually go in and do this actually have a greater chance of winning. They actually have a tremendous chance of winning. In other words, there's so few people out there doing this that if you decide I'm going to do this, I'm going to take the survey, your chances of winning are actually very, very good. Very high. So I read this article and I was still a little skeptical because I was thinking, well, this sounds like a promotional piece right there. But I thought, okay, I'll tell you what, to be fair, I'll give this a try. I'll try it out. I will, for about a week or so, I will take every receipt and I'll go on their websites and I'll take these surveys and we'll see what happens. Let's see if I win something. I didn't have high hopes for it. I thought, chances are the whole thing's bogus. But I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a try. So for about a week, I took my receipts and I would go online to their websites where they said to sign up, and I would go ahead and enter. I would take the survey and I would enter for a chance to win, whether it was $500 or $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever it was. I'd go ahead and take the survey and see what happened. So I did this for about a week or so. And believe it or not, at the end of that week and at the end of that month, because I gave it a good month to see what would happen, because a lot of them had times where they said, well, it's the end of the month, we announce the winners every week. Some of them pulled them at the end of every week. Some of them pulled them at the end of every month, whatever. I gave it a month. Believe it or not, I won nothing. Seriously, I won nothing. So my conclusion to this is that the article was bogus, and this whole thing is bogus, and the chances of winning, in my opinion, any of these things are still pretty much zero. So there you go. And that's my rant on the receipts and surveys. Take them if you want, but personally, I think they're a complete waste of time. That's my opinion. You can disagree if you want, but that's my opinion. And before we go on to the next item, I'm going to take another swig of this. And for those who complain that, he does not hold a wine glass correctly, he must not be a very reputable source for wine recommendations at all, because he does not hold a wine glass correctly. I do it the Three Stooges way. There you go. With the finger. Is it the pink? Oh no, it's the pinky. I'm sorry, it's the pinky. That's how Mo says to do it. But to those of you who say that I do not hold a wine glass correctly, you know what? I haven't dropped one yet. So here's to you. Hold it the way you want. I'll hold it the way I want. And there you go. Okay, so one more thing about receipts. And this is kind of, I know my wife's watching. Pretty sure she is. Unless she got bored and fell asleep. It's okay. It's okay, honey. I love you anyway. But for Mother's Day, and I can, this is no spoiler here for my wife, because she's already received the gift. But for Mother's Day, for my wife, I decided when I went to Harris Teeter, we made her a nice, breakfast, and I purchased a nice little pot of flowers to put on the table for Mother's Day. And when I went to Harris Teeter, should I have said Harris Teeter? It's okay, I don't care, because it's done. Well, I have the receipt for it here, as a matter of fact. So I went to Harris Teeter and I made my purchases. I went to pick up some eggs and things like that for the breakfast, and I saw this was an impulse buy. I decided to purchase a pot of flowers to put on the table to surprise her with. And there was a sign on the table where all these flower pots were, kind of like a little flower arrangement. There was a sign on the table that said the flowers, a little pot of flowers, was $9.99. So I said, well, that's a little pricey, but hey, my wife is worth it. It's Mother's Day. It's a special. She does so much for us. You know what she does too? My wife does so much for us. Every single day, there is no doubt in my mind how much she loves us, because she does so many little things, and it's not the big things, it's all the little things that she does for us, that sometimes I know that she's probably wondering if we really appreciate or even notice the little things she does. But trust me, I notice, I really appreciate what she does, and I'm not just saying that because she might be watching. Okay, I'm not just saying that, but I really mean that in my heart, in my heart of hearts, that she does so many things for us every day, and we really don't show our appreciation to her as much as we should. So I thought, on Mother's Day, you know what, it's $10 for this bouquet of flowers, but it's worth it. It's worth it for her. So I take this pot of flowers home. I paid for it, $9.99 plus the tax or whatever it was for Mother's Day. Take it home, put it on the table. She loves it. Everything's fine. And then later on in the day, I happened to catch the side of the pot because, and I noticed that there was a barcode for the product and a price for it on the side. And I thought, oh, you know what? I forgot to pull that off there, pull the price off, because I didn't want her to know how much I paid for it. Now, of course, she's watching now, so now she's going to know how much I paid for it. It's okay. It's done. It's all right. It's part of the story. A true story, by the way. So I looked at this thing, and it says, and I'm holding it in my hand because I've got the original receipt here. Because I stuck it to the original receipt because I intended to take it back to Harris Teeter to confront them about it, but I just never got around to it. I stuck it in my wallet and forgot about it, and now it's passed and I don't care anymore. But this says Fleurette, pot size, 0.62 quarts, 0.59 liters, grown in Canada. That's what I purchased. Okay, a little nice, beautiful pot of flowers. And I would normally have a picture of it, but I didn't have one here that I transferred over. So maybe I'll show it another time if I can find it. But you probably don't care either. But here, this is the thing that I did care about. The price on this Fleurette, on this little sticker, was $5.99, $5.99. Now remember, I paid $9.99 for this pot of flowers, but the original price, this was the original price for the pot of flowers, was $5.99. But on Mother's Day, they put those pots of flowers out and they jacked it up to $9.99. So now, if I had called him out, if I'd seen that price on it, and if I'd called him out on it, and this is where I was an idiot. That's where I was stupid. If I had thought to look at it, really study it, and said, "Oh, that's only $5.99," I would have brought it up at the register, and I know, knowing Harris Teeter, I know they would have said, "That's okay, that's fine. We'll only charge you $5.99," because that's Harris Teeter's like that. I mean, to their credit, they if you call them on the discrepancy, they'll honor it. They really will. They're good about that. They'll honor it, and and they'll say, yeah, sure, and they'll only charge me $5.99 for it. But I didn't do that. I didn't do that because I saw it. As a matter of fact, I kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye sticking there, but I didn't really think to look at it. I just picked it up and just assumed that it said $9.99 because it's very, very small type there. I just assumed that it said $9.99, so I just because the sign said $9.99, so I picked it up there and she charged me $9.99. That's what it rang up for when she scanned it. But now, had I said something, yes, they would have done it because they're good about that. That's happened before. It's happened on several occasions where I've gone through and the price was scanned wrong or there was a discrepancy with the price, and they gave me the benefit of the doubt. And in fact, basically their philosophy on that is basically the customer's right. If I see a price posted and it doesn't match what's on the product, they'll give you the price that I saw. So that's cool of them, really. So this was not their fault. Now, in a way, it was kind of shady because it was $5.99, and they jacked it up for Mother's Day because they knew that people on Mother's Day, people like me, idiots like me, would go through and say, "Hey, $10, it's once a year thing. It's okay. I'll spring for it. Not a problem. They won't look twice." There are probably a lot of people like me that did this, that just picked it up, no questions asked, just paid the $10, and that's what they count on, and that's really part of the whole retail game. There is that this is actually a fairly common thing. It's just that normally what they do is they'll jack it up for that special occasion, whether it's Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, whatever it is. They'll jack the price up for whatever the Hallmark holiday is or something, and because they know that chances are they're going to get that much more for it. That's why flowers that you see on the roadside for $5 for a dozen wind up being $50 on Mother's Day or on Valentine's Day. Guys, you know what I'm talking about, right? And the problem is that when it comes to flowers, like roses like that, you can't necessarily just, buy the roses, 2 weeks prior when it's $5 and then save it somewhere until Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or whatever day it is, and then present it, because by then the flowers are they're not in good shape anymore. And they know that. So that's where they can get you. That's why they can get you on it. But that's why it's important to look at the pricing. Now, normally what they do is they'll peel the stuff off. They'll take the original tag off, or paste something else over. That's also common for them to paste something else over on the original sticker. With the price for the day. They didn't do that. They missed this one, and I think they probably missed all of them on that table. And once again, that was my fault because I wasn't paying attention. But this should be a tip for everyone, including me, that in the future, something to note in the future, that whenever you have something, especially if you're buying it on a special occasion, like Mother's Day, Father's Day, and Father's Day is coming up in a week, so that's something to note. Ladies, if you're watching, if you're watching now, definitely note this. If you're purchasing something for Father's Day, or the kids, sons, daughters, whatever, you're purchasing something for your dad on Father's Day, check this. Make a note of this. Don't make the mistake I made. In fact, everything I learned in life, I pretty much learned the hard way. So, came from the school of hard knocks, so to speak. So, learn from my mistake, learn from my experience, and when you do this, whether it's Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Grandparents' Day, free donut day, I don't know whatever it is. Just check the price. If you see something, if you see a price stuck on that product and you see a sign that has a price on it, check the price on the product and make sure, double check. Even take your cell phone with you and check around. Make sure that that's actually the price you're supposed to be paying for it, because you can get ripped off on those kinds of holidays. You can. You really can. And not necessarily intentional. Well, in this case, obviously it was kind of intentional, but that was my bad. That wasn't Harris Teeter's fault. That was my fault for not paying attention. So there you go. Anyway, that's all I have to say about the receipts. I haven't drunk enough wine yet. I'm going to have a little bit more. And by the way, Robert has joined us in the chat. Good to see you, Robert. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. And tell all your friends about the Saturday Night live stream, wine stream. I really haven't had enough of this yet, to be honest. And that's not quite halfway down. Can you see that? It's not quite, because we've got the lights in the studio here. It's not quite halfway down, but we're almost there. And I'm going to have a little bit more of this. And you know what? It's actually starting to taste a little bit better as I go down with it. And that's, it's not uncommon for that to happen, really, because, and it's not just because it's the wine doing that, although in my case maybe it is a little bit, but as you go down in the bottle, how you go do wine tastings, and you get a little bit of taste of the wine. Yeah, it's okay. It gives you a little bit of assessment of what the wine's really like, but that's why even if I've had a taste of the wine, I like to open up and review it for myself and go through the bottle, because you don't always get the real. You don't get a real taste of the wine until you've gone through about a third of the way through the bottle. You really don't. I mean, it's in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I think you have to go, have a couple glasses before you really understand, really appreciate the wine. And of course, you can say, well, the farther down you go into the bottle, the better it tastes anyway, because you're starting to really feel the effects of the wine. But no, really, honestly, if you really want to taste the wine, you have to go through a glass or two to really get the wine and really appreciate it. A little tasting, I don't think a little tasting really does it justice, because here's the thing: you open up a bottle of wine, you're not opening up a bottle of wine to take a little bitty taste. You're opening up a bottle of wine to drink the wine, right? To try the wine. And I have had wines before. Yes, I have gone to tastings before where I've tasted this wine and that wine. Oh yeah, this is great wine, and everybody's telling me, oh, this is tasting's excellent. And then I'll buy a bottle, I'll take it home, and I'll open it up, and then I'm gonna get a couple of glasses down into this wine. I think, you know what? I really don't like this wine very much. It's not exactly what I tasted in the store. It's not what I tasted in the tasting, wherever it was. And you kind of, when you're doing a tasting, you're kind of, first of all, you're kind of caught up in the moment, and second, unless they're really giving you something, if you're tasting several wines especially, and if you're and this is why I have this here, by the way, if you're tasting several wines in a tasting, and they're not giving you things like crackers or something like that to clear your palate out, you're really not getting a fair, when you try the next wine, you're really not getting a fair assessment of that wine on a clean palate. So you might have some of the previous wine in your, still on your tongue when you taste the next one, and that's not a fair taste test. I have been to wine tastings where that's what they do. Is some of the ones at the supermarket, or if you go to Trader Joe's, they'll do a tasting at Trader Joe's, and usually they'll have the little wine kiosk set up, and they're trying. You try the red, and you try the white, and you try the rosé, and you try the Zinfandel, and you try the, and it's like you got 3 or 4 wines there, and by the time you've tasted a few of them, your palate's kind of all confused. It can't really, you don't know what you're tasting anymore, because they don't give you anything else in between to clear your palate out before you try the next one. They just have the wines there. That's it. Now, one of the things is, when I go to a wine store, and I like to shop at wine store, and this is not a pitch for a wine store, because I'm not. This time I'm not a paid. This is not a paid endorsement for them or anything. It's just someplace I like to shop. Same thing with Total Wine. Like, I'll go down to Total Wine, and they'll have a wine tasting there as well, and they'll have a couple of wines. They'll have a red and a white, or they'll have a rosé, or they'll have a some other dessert wine or something like that to try several of. And they won't give you at Total Wine. They just kind of give you the different wines to try. And that can confuse your palate if you're just going wine to wine to wine to wine. What the wine store does is they have, and some places will give you crackers. They'll have some crackers out there. You can try crackers. Like when I was at Cooper's Hawk, the Cooper's Hawk Winery, that's what they had. They put down. I did a paid wine tasting where I tasted 10 different wines, but they set down a bowl of crackers, little like a little, I don't know, the seafood crackers or whatever down there. They're not salty or anything. So you could try the crackers in between the wines so you could have a chance to clear your palate out. So you could try each wine on its own merit. Excuse me. And some of the that's really closer to a real wine tasting. Now, at a wine store, they do something similar to that. Now, sometimes they'll bring out the crackers. They don't always have the crackers there, but sometimes they'll have the crackers. But what they do have is they will have they'll have a jar of water and a little spittoon kind of device there where you can rinse out your glass, because you're using one glass. You can rinse out the glass of water, dump it in there. You can rinse out your mouth if you want to. You can do that and have a little water drink, and it's good to have a little water in between that too, because that helps to clear your palate as well. If you don't have crackers, use water. Water's good for clearing out the palate. But they'll have a little water, and you can put some water in your glass and clear that out, clear out your palate, and then try the next wine. And it's really best to do it that way, because if you don't, you're going to wind up just kind of you're going to wind up getting a little your palate a little confused there on trying different wines. Boom, 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 one after the other. So. And I forgot where I was going with this, but that's the stream of consciousness part of the wine stream. Did I fulfill that part? Yes, I did. Okay, so let's go on to the next item. Anyway, that's why I do this. In fact, I'm going to have a little more cheese. And the cheese is okay. It's just a medium cheddar. And that's kind of a neutral thing for this wine, I think, in my opinion. I can have a wine. I can drink a lot of different wines with cheese. I'm not that particular about it. There's some things that I don't like to pair with certain wines, but the cheese, that's okay. Anyway, so I hope everyone learned something from this Mother's Day thing that I ran into with the receipts. Now, there's something else that I really wanted to talk about. This week, I started doing a little promotion for Drink with Rick. Of course, I did the promo, but I also did something else. I also purchased some buttons. Now, why I did it? Because I want to have some cool buttons. But this is one of the buttons. It's a Drink with Rick button. It's, of course, if you recognize the logo. In fact, I'm going to stick that on my shirt right now, just because I can. But this is a cool little button that I picked up that had made for me. In fact, let me show you a close-up of this. This is what the button looks like. You know, the lighting in here. I took this just before I started the wine stream tonight, and I had all the lights in the studio on, so it's kind of, there's some reflection there, and it doesn't really do the button justice. It looks a little hot there. The button looks actually a lot better than that. But this is a really, really nice button, and I want to tell you what I did is that here we go. There we go. We're in it now. This little button. I picked up a few of these for promotional purposes. And I guess the wine is kicking a little bit. Let me have some more. Mike, if you're still watching, I'm sure you would appreciate this. You would appreciate this wine. We've had actually Mike. He tries some wine and beers, wines and beers. Uh, I think we've had a discussion or two way back when about different wines and beers that we like. That was years and years ago. But this is definitely, I think that this is a wine you might enjoy, Mike. It really is. You might like this one. Whoops. Where was it going? Okay, yeah, the buttons. The buttons are really cool. And I'll tell you where I got these made. I got these made. My friend Taylor. Now, I work with Taylor, where I work. I work with her, but she has a little side business going called Button Gnome. And she makes buttons for people. She's been doing this for a couple of years. And she makes buttons for people. And I thought, I need something like a nice little promotion thing to give away when I go out and about in different places. And I was thinking, maybe she can make a few buttons for me. And she did, and they turned out great. If you can see, as I just showed you, these buttons are pretty awesome. She has, let me show her website. She does this on the side. This is kind of a, I think she does on the side to make a little extra money. But she has a little Etsy shop, and she did a fabulous job on these buttons. I really appreciate what she did. She did them pretty quick too. I gave her the artwork, and she had them cranked out in a day or two, and she was really pretty quick about it. She did a great job, and I really recommend this. If you need buttons, and I know a lot of my podcaster friends, are always looking for things to like swag, things like that to promote their podcasts. Or if you're doing a live stream, that sort of thing, promoting that sort of thing. This is a great little item. These are great to take to, say, like if you're going to, podcast movements in August. And you want to take some swag to podcast movement and give some buttons out. This is a great thing to give out. So, and I know a lot of podcasters that do that. And if you need some buttons made, I would highly recommend Taylor. She does a great job. She's really she does everything. She puts her personal touch in all of this that she does. She does an excellent job. And once again, if you want to purchase some buttons, you can get a quote from her for some buttons. You can reach her. She has an Etsy shop up there. And you can reach her at etsy.com/shop/button gnome. And the B in button and the G in gnome are uppercase. Everything else is lowercase. Button gnome. And she'll take care of you. As a matter of fact, my son Tommy, he and his friend Nick, Tommy does a podcast called Cube Command. He's been podcasting for 9 years. He's going on 10 years now as a podcaster. Second generation, how about that? I'm quite proud of him in that respect. And he and his friend Nick do the Cube Command podcast. And he saw these buttons. He took one to look at them. I said, let me show you my new buttons. And he looked at them and he thought, oh, great, this is perfect. Because he and Nick are going to be doing a live podcast event at Heroes Con up in Charlotte, up in Uptown Charlotte next weekend. On what's next weekend? It's whatever it is. It's I forgot the dates. Was it the 15th? Yeah, 15th. They'll be there on the 15th. They'll be doing a. They have a booth there that they'll be doing a live podcast event. And they'll be doing some live interviews and covering the HeroesCon event there live. And he wanted to take something with him to give out. Now, he does have his cards. He has his Cube Command cards, but he wanted to give out something else. So he looked at it and he said, oh, buttons, this would be perfect. So he's placed an order with Taylor to have some buttons made, and she's going to have his buttons done, I guess Monday evening or so. And he's looking forward to that. He was pretty excited about this. He really liked these, so he's going to give out some buttons there. So he's placing an order with her. I'm now this, with her. Let me pull this back up. Whoop, that's wrong. Wrong one. That's the. There we go. Well, no, that's not it again. Where is it? There we go. Sorry about that. That must be the wine. Blame it on the wine. Always blame it on the wine. Anyway, this is Button Gnome. This is her website. She says that if you are interested, if you're a podcast or anybody, if you need some buttons made, she can do it for you. She can do the job. But contact her at on our Etsy page here, on our Etsy site, and that's etsy.com/shop-button etsy.com/shop/button gnome, and she'll take care of you. She'll take real good care of you. She's really, really nice, and she'll give you a good deal. Tell her I sent you. Tell her, hey, she might cut you a little extra deal. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But it doesn't hurt. Just tell her that Rick sent you, and she'll take care of you. She'll take real good care of you there. It's well worth it. So anyway, back to what's the next item I have on the list? Oh yes, the new website. I have the new website is up. I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but I do finally have the new website, Drink With It. It's been up for a couple of weeks now, but you can just go to drinkwithrick.com, check out the website, and I'm generally streaming there from the website, except tonight because I forgot to start that before I started the stream. So, but you can catch it later after the stream's done. If you missed any part of the stream or you missed the whole stream, you can go to the website. It's just www.drinkwithrick.com, and you can check that out. You can see all the previous live streams there as well as on our YouTube channel. You can check it out there. And we also have a Facebook page. I set up a Facebook page, Drink with Rick. Join the Facebook page. I thought about setting up a group. I'm not sure what that will serve yet, but I have the page up there, and you can post comments to the page. Post comments to the website as well. I'd like to hear your comments. Anything else that we can do? Anything else we can add to improve the overall experience of drinking with Rick? That just let me know, and we'll be happy to do it. I don't have a Patreon yet or anything like that. To be honest, I've looked at monetizing this somewhat, but I want to really concentrate more on just delivering a good experience. Then all that other stuff, that'll just fall in place as it comes along, as we go along. But I really want to concentrate on giving everybody a great experience. You're my family, my friends. We're just getting together, having a glass of wine, having some wine, doing wine reviews, checking out what's out there, and recommending good wines, not recommending bad wines. And I've got a few here that I have definitely not recommended in the past. So hopefully I can steer you towards the good ones, avoid the bad ones. Boy, the ones that are, especially if they cost a lot of money, you definitely don't want to be spending $15, $20, $30, $40 for a bottle of wine that may not be really what you expect them to be. And as I've said many, many times, you don't buy wine based on price. Never, ever, ever buy a wine based on price. That's part of this. I've made that mistake. I have made that mistake. Not very often, but I have. And it does happen. Just because a wine is $40 or $50 a bottle doesn't mean it's any good. If you want to buy a bottle of wine, you buy a bottle of wine based on, on recommendations and what you know is good. If you don't know it, check around. Google it up. Check with other people who've tried that wine. Check with me. That's what I'm here for. Let me try the wine first. I'll be the guinea pig. I'll try the wine, and I'll tell you, if I think it's any good or not. Now, once again, everyone's palate's different. Maybe a wine that I don't like, you might like, or a wine that you might like, I don't like. It happens. But I can tell you that if I like a wine, because I'm an everyman, I'm not a sommelier, I'm not a wine snob in any sense of the word. And I repeat myself, but I do that because I want to really drive home that point that I'm just a person who likes wine, and I know a good wine when I taste it. I know a bad wine when I taste it. This one's an okay wine. It's good. It's not my favorite wine. I do have favorites, and I have pointed them out in the past. I do have favorites. I do have some that I don't care for too much. I do have some that I will not drink again that I have tried. Aside from the obvious ones, but there are some that I have tried that are not my favorites. But I look at it this way. It's easy to talk to a wine sommelier or a wine expert, and say, okay, I'll go with his recommendation. I'll try this wine. It's easy to just go with that recommendation. But you know what? Just because he or she likes that wine or says that it's going to pair with this well or that well, and I have tried it. Now, oftentimes, a lot of these people are experts, and they, as far as pairing wine with food, they've done this a long time, and they know their stuff. I'm not dissing them for that, but I will say that everyone's palate is a little bit different. And what some people will find that works well as a food combination, a wine combination, might not necessarily be what other people care for or what other people like. Now, I'm an everyman in that sense of the word. I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like, and you can go with that recommendation if you want. But once again, you might like, there are people out there that and I'm jumping around, but that's the part of the stream of consciousness thing here. You're going to find people that might like Mad Dog, Mogan David stuff, or some of these other, wines that are what they call poor man's wines, really cheapy wines that are more syrup, more grape syrup, sugary syrup than wine, in my opinion. You'll find people that say, hey, I'm a fan of $2 Chuck. Yeah, and I have some sitting here, okay? You'll find people, there it is, right there. You'll find people that say, I like this Oak Creek wine. That's that's one that's sold by our local Harris Teeter. I don't like it. I tried it once. I will not drink it again if I can help it. I can't say never say never, because I might open one up just for fun. Just to compare a nasty wine with a good wine. But, there's some wines that are just that are wines that someone with a little bit of class, some people with a little bit of, let me not say class, some people who have a little bit of dignity in that sense. And I'm not saying that as a wine snob. I'm just saying that, some people, to have a little shred of dignity, a little bit of self-respect, will not touch. There's some people that love those wines. That's what they drink. They do it because that's what they prefer. And okay, that's okay for them. That's okay for them. I guess if that's what they want, that's what they want. That's fine. But for the rest of us, if you want a little bit of if you want to spend your money on something that's worth spending your money on, then I would say don't get those wines. Get something else. Get a I don't know. Get a Barolo from Trader Joe's, or or a wine from the Target collection wine, or something like that. The Target collection wine, that's acceptable for something like that. Although it's a $10 wine, personally I think that's overpriced, but at $10 a bottle. But I'd say it's really more of a $6 or $7 bottle of wine. But that's just me. That's just my personal opinion. But I can say that if you trust my personal opinion on it, I would say, save yourself a few bucks and go with something maybe a little bit more, maybe the Phyllis or something like that. It's same price. I mean, actually, the Phyllis is cheaper, cheaper. Sounds like a cheap word. It's less expensive than the collection wine, but I think it's a better wine. The Phyllis is actually a good wine, and I think that goes for about $8 to $10 a bottle. So, like I said, stick with me on the wine stream, and I'll steer you towards wines that are probably more towards your liking in your price range. Now, my price range is the $5 to $10 a bottle of wine. I can spend $15, and I have. I've spent $20, $30. I've spent $40 a bottle of wine before. I don't like to do that much unless I know it's something that I want to save and collect and keep for a while. But for the most part, I try to keep my budget between $5 and $15. That's where I really try to, and I think that's really the smart way to drink wine, because most wines are overpriced in the market. They're and they know that they're priced too high. There's a huge profit margin. In fact, the higher up you go for wine, say $15, $20 a bottle, $30 a bottle, the larger the margin is, the greater the margin is for wine, without necessarily getting a better wine. You don't necessarily get a better wine for $30 than you do for, say, $8.99 or $10. It's just that's just the facts of it. In fact, a lot of these wineries, basically are, you can find some, and we'll go into this in a future wine stream. I don't have time to do all this tonight, but you can find a wine that's $10 a bottle that might actually be the same wine as what's in that $40 bottle of wine. It might be. It's possible. So don't buy a wine based on price. Buy it based on what you like, what you know, what's been recommended to you that from someone that you trust, that's more reasonably priced, that you'll like, and you know what, you'll enjoy it more. You enjoy a wine more. Let me put it this way: I would enjoy if this wine was $40 a bottle, and I paid $40. If I paid $40 for this bottle of wine, I would not enjoy it as much, because I've tasted it. I would not enjoy it as much as I do knowing that I only paid $18 a bottle for it. Now, really, honestly, if I paid $14 a bottle for it, $14 for this bottle of wine, I would have enjoyed it even more. Because I think this is really more of a $14 or $15 bottle of wine, to be honest. But it's okay. It's okay. The thing is, though, never buy it based on price. Buy it based on what you like, what you know, and what you have what you've researched other people recommending. Buy it based on that, really. That's really the best way to go. Anyway, we're getting close to the end of the stream. I mentioned the new website, drinkwithrick.com. I also just launched a couple of weeks ago the Drink with Rick podcast. So if you missed the stream, or if you're out and about and you don't, I know that watching this generally, I know a lot of people watch the stream and they're not really watching the stream per se. They're really just kind of, they've got it running in the background, they're listening to it, kind of got it going in the background so they can hear it while they're doing other things. That's okay. That's fine. That's good. It would be great if you could tell me what's up in the chat, because I like to interact with people in the chat, but that's okay. You don't have to. The important thing is that you're listening and that you're getting something out of it and you're enjoying it and you're having a good time. That's fine. And if you're drinking along with me, that's even better, right? But we have the website up. We have the podcast up, so that if you can't watch us on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, wherever you are at the moment, you can listen on demand now. And we have the third episode coming out here shortly. And I hope you'll enjoy that. We also have, now with the new podcast, I have done some things to the site to tweak it up a little bit. You can contact me. There's a contact page up there. If you want to contact me for anything, you feel free actually to comment on any of this after the fact. And I respond to your comments. I will respond to every single comment. I will. And recommendations. If you have a recommendation on a good wine to try, I'm always open to recommendations. Always. I love recommendations because it gives me the opportunity to try something that maybe I've never tried before. And I love checking out new wines. I really do. I enjoy this. So if you have a recommendation of a good wine to try, definitely, leave me a comment or fill out my comment form there on the website, drinkwithrick.com. And I will check into it. And if it's something that looks like, I can go ahead and try this, I'll try it. We'll try it here on the live stream. And then we'll check it out together. And I'll tell you what I think of it. If you have any suggestions, any complaints, anything else you want to talk to me about, feel free to fill out the comment form and let me know. Just contact me. And you can also contact me at rick@savoyamedia.com. That's rick at savoyamedia.com. And I'll get your email and I will respond. Unless it's full of four-letter words, and then I probably might just delete it. So don't do that. But hopefully we're friends enough that that's not an issue. Anyway, so it's about that time to close up the stream for this evening. I hope you had a great time. I know I did. I always do enjoy these streams. And I hope to see you next week. Same time, same channel, more or less. Drinkwithrick.com. Join me next week for the Saturday night wine stream, and we can get together and we can drink with Rick. Good night, everybody.